Greetings and salutations, dear viewers. Get ready for some fantastic content. Thank you for joining us today as we dive into Robert L. Gibson. Robert Lee Hoot Gibson, born October 30, 1946, Capt, USN, Ret. Is a former American naval officer and aviator, test pilot, and aeronautical engineer. A retired NASA astronaut, he also served as chief of the Astronaut Office from 1992 to 1994. Today Gibson is active as a professional pilot, racing regularly at the annual Reno Air Races. He was inducted into the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame in 2003 and the National Aviation Hall of Fame in 2013, and has received several military decorations throughout his career. In this part of the video, we'll be delving deeper into early life and education and analyzing its key components. Gibson was born October 30, 1946, in Cooperstown, New York. He graduated from Huntington High School, Huntington, New York, as a part of the class of 1964, and went on to earn an associate degree in engineering science from Suffolk County Community College in 1966. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in aeronautical engineering from California Polytechnic State University in 1969. Without wasting any more time, let's jump into the fascinating world of military career. Gibson entered active duty with the U.S. Navy in 1969. He was commissioned through the Aviation Officer Candidate School AOCS and proceeds to flight training. He received basic and primary flight training at Naval Air Station Pensacola and Naval Air Station Sofley Field, Florida, and Naval Air Station Meridian, Mississippi. He completed advanced flight training at Naval Air Station Kingsville, Texas, and was assigned to Fighter Squadron 121 VF-121 at Naval Air Station Miramar, California for replacement training in the F-4 Phantom II. While assigned to Fighter Squadron 111 VF-111 and Fighter Squadron 1 VF-1 from April 1972 to September 1975, he saw duty aboard aircraft carriers and flying combat missions in Southeast Asia in the F-4 with the F-111 and making the initial operational carrier deployment of the F-14 Tomcat with the F-1. He is a graduate of the Navy Fighter Weapons School, also known as TOPGUN. Gibson returned to the United States and an assignment as an F-Air instructor pilot with Fighter Squadron 124 F-124 at Naval Air Station Miramar. He graduated from the U.S. Naval Test Pilot School at Naval Air Station Patuxent River, Maryland in June 1977 and later became involved in the test and evaluation of improvements to the F-Air aircraft while assigned to the Naval Air Test Center's Strike Aircraft Test Directorate. Selected as a NASA astronaut, he continued to be promoted, eventually achieving the rank of captain in the U.S. Navy and the rank at which he retired from active naval service. Charles Fahrenheit Bolden, his co-pilot on STS-61C, described Gibson and John Young as the two best pilots he had met in my life in aviation. Over 35 years, never met two people like them. Everyone else gets into an airplane, John and Hoot were their airplane. They're just awesome. Gibson's flight experience included over 6,000 flying hours, 14,000 hours in total in over 140 types of civil and military aircraft. He holds an airline transport pilot license. In 2006, he was required to stop flying for their airlines because he reached his 60th birthday. He still holds a multi-engine and instrument rating. He has held a private pilot rating since age 17. Gibson has also completed over 300 carrier landings. Now, it's time to shift gears and explore NASA career. Selected by NASA in January 1978, Gibson became an astronaut in August 1979. Gibson flew 5 missions, STS-41B in 1984, STS-61C in 1986, STS-27 in 1988, STS-47 in 1992, and STS-71 in 1995. Gibson served as Chief of the Astronaut Office December 1992 to September 1994 and as Deputy Director, Flight Crew Operations November 1996. On his first space flight, Gibson was the pilot on STS-41B, which launched from Kennedy Space Center on February 3, 1984. The flight deployed two Hughes 376 communications satellites which later failed to reach synchronous orbits due to upper stage rocket failures. The STS-41B mission marked the first checkout of the Man Maneuvering Unit MMU and Manipulator Foot Restraint MFR, with Bruce McCandless and Bob Stewart performing two of the spacewalks. The German Shuttle Pallet Satellite SPAS, Remote Manipulator System RMS, 6 getaway specials, and materials processing experiments were included on the mission. An 8-day orbital flight of Challenger culminated in the first ever landing at the Kennedy Space Center on February 11, 1984. Gibson was the commander of the STS-61C mission, and the first of only 4 people under the age of 40 to command an STS mission. The 7-man crew on board the orbiter Columbia launched from the Kennedy Space Center on January 12, 1986. During the 6-day flight, the crew deployed the SATCOM Kuban satellite and conducted experiments in astrophysics and materials processing. The mission concluded with a successful night landing at Edwards Air Force Base, California, on January 18, 1986. Gibson subsequently participated in the investigation of the Space Shuttle Challenger accident, and also participated in the redesign and recertification of the solid rocket boosters. As the commander of STS-27, Gibson and his 5-man crew launched from the Kennedy Space Center on December 2, 1988, aboard the orbiter Atlantis. The mission carried a Department of Defense payload and a number of secondary payloads. After 68 orbits of the Earth, the mission concluded with a dry-legged landing on runway 17 at Edwards Air Force Base on December 6, 1988. The mission is noteworthy due to the severe damage Atlantis sustained to its critical heat-resistant tiles during ascent. When in training for the 1991 STS-46 mission, Gibson was involved in the collision during a weekend air race in Texas that left a second pilot dead and raised questions about the enforcement of rules banning such high-risk activity by expensively trained astronauts. He lost his flight status on NASA's T-38 training aircraft for 1 year, thus being unable to participate in the training for the mission. On Gibson's 4th space flight, the 50th Space Shuttle mission, he served as commander of STS-47 Spacelab J, which launched on September 12, 1992, aboard the orbiter Endeavour. The mission was a cooperative venture between the United States and Japan, and included the first Japanese astronaut, Mamoru Mori, and the first African-American woman, Mae Jemison, in the crew. During the 8-day flight, the crew focused on life science and materials processing experiments in over 40 investigations in the Spacelab laboratory, as well as scientific and engineering tests performed aboard the orbiter Endeavour. The mission ended with a successful landing at the Kennedy Space Center on September 20, 1992. On his last flight, June 27 to July 7, 1995, Gibson commanded a crew of 7 members up and 8 members down on Space Shuttle mission STS-71. This was the first Space Shuttle mission to dock with the Russian space station Mir, and involved an exchange of crews. The Atlantis Space Shuttle was modified to carry a docking system compatible with the Russian Mir space station. It also carried a Spacelab module in the payload bay in which the crew performed various life sciences experiments and data collections. When the hatch separating the 2 modules was opened, Gibson and Vladimir Darov shook hands. Later that day, President Bill Clinton in a statement mentioned that this handshake was a major breakthrough towards the ending of the Cold War. When giving public speeches, Gibson often jokes that he ended the Cold War. In 5 space flights, Gibson completed a total of 36.5 days in space. Now, it's time to shift gears and explore post-NASA career. Gibson left NASA in November 1996 and became a pilot for Southwest Airlines. In 2006, as reported by NASA Watch, Gibson was forced to retire as mandated by the Federal Aviation Administration for commercial airline pilots. Gibson has publicly spoken out against federal regulations which require airline pilots to retire at age 60. In December 2006, he joined the Benson Space Company as Chief Operating Officer and Chief Test Pilot. Gibson has flown 111 different aircraft types and has become a regular competitor at the annual Reno Air Races. In 1998, Gibson, flying the Hawker Sea Fury Riff Raff, won the unlimited class in the inaugural running of the EAA Adventure Cup race. Beginning in 2009, Gibson flew as a demonstration pilot for Hawker Beechcraft Corporation to showcase the premier light business jet across the United States and overseas. In 2010, the Academy of Model Aeronautics, the United States National Aeromodeling Organization, named Gibson a spokesperson and ambassador to promote the hobby of radio-controlled model flight and to encourage an interest in aviation amongst young people. Gibson has stated that his interest in manned flight and his career as a test pilot and astronaut has its origin in his building of model aircraft as a youth. Gibson remains an avid radio-controlled model hobbyist and is reportedly constructing a flyable version of the experimental vertical take-off and landing conveyor XFY-1 Pogo of the ERS. Gibson worked with the National Transportation Safety Board following the 2011 Reno Air Races crash. This was documented in an Air Disasters episode several years later. In September 2013, Gibson qualified the Hawker Sea Fury, known as September Fury, in race at the 50th National Championship Air Races at a speed of 479.164 miles per hour. This is the fastest Sea Fury qualifying time. In September 2015, Gibson qualified the Pete, known as Striga, at the 52nd National Championship Air Races at a speed of 475.043 and won the Gold Unlimited race, finishing at 488.983 miles per hour average speed. He was crowned the Unlimited Gold Champion for 2015. Now, we shift our focus to personal life, a topic that deserves our attention. On May 30, 1981, he married fellow astronaut Rhea Seddon of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Their first child was born in July 1982. Gibson already had one child, a daughter, from his first marriage. Gibson and Seddon had 2 further children. Gibson enjoys home-built aircraft, Formula One air racing, unlimited class air racing, running and surfing during his free time. In October 2007, Gibson was a contestant on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? During his appearance, he became the first contestant to make it to the $1 million question without using any of his cheats. He incorrectly answered the $1 million question, how many factors do 32 and 28 share? The correct answer is 3, 1, 2, and 4. He answered with 2, 2, and 4. All of his prize money, $25,000, went to the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation. Brace yourselves for the next chapter, where we'll be dissecting awards and honors. Awarded the Federation Aeronautique Internationale FAI Louis Blériot Medal 1991 and 2004. Awarded the Yuri A. Gagarin Gold Medal by the FAI. Awarded the Experimental Aircraft Association EAA Freedom of Flight Award 1989. U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame 2003. National Aviation Hall of Fame 2012. Established FAI World Records for altitude in horizontal flight, airplane cluster in 1991. Time to climb to 9,000 meters in 1994 and speed over closed course in 2004. Awarded the William Fahrenheit. Shea Award for Contribution to Aviation from the University of Nebraska-Omaha Aviation Institute 2012 U.S. Space Camp Hall of Fame 2012. Military awards include the Defense Superior Service Medal, Distinguished Flying Cross and Medal, 3 Navy Commendation Medal with Combat V, Navy Unit Commendation, Meritorious Unit Commendation, National Defense Service Medal, 2 Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal. Don't forget to check out my other videos for more valuable content.